everyone, or afternoon. We are now at lunchtime. Thank you all for coming in. Today, I want to talk about a few things, and hopefully they'll make sense to you. I've been watching people. It's been a bit of a struggle because so many people are in abject pain, emotional pain. They feel like they aren't being heard, and they feel like their voice doesn't matter because people are doing what they want to do anyway. Well, this is a really great opportunity to grow. Our resources, our kindness, our commitment, that's pretty limited right now because so many people are pulling inward and they're holding themselves in a way that they want to make sure that they are empowered with what they need to do, and they're not thinking about the fallout of what's happening astrologically or emotionally or even societally. Wrap my tongue around that one. What I'm trying to say is that this is our time to grow, to literally do some deep dive down into the very recesses of our heart and try to figure out exactly how it looks for us. It's not an easy process because so often we remain the victim. And in allowing ourselves to be victims to our circumstance, we cut our avenue off for being progressed spirits that are helping other people because our light will indeed affect theirs. There's a lot of talk about what are we manifesting, what are we creating, what are we doing, and I want to talk a little bit about why that's frustrating to so many people. It's really wonderful to say you're manifesting, but actually the term manifest means to show or display. Well, I don't want to show anyone my spiritual growth. I don't want to show anyone my money if I make money. If I want to manifest a peaceful life, they would be able to see that, but it's not up to me to show it or display it. It would just be a part of who I am. So that struggle with the word manifest for me is very much a very basic, it's been taken out of context. And I love the word create because we're our own co-creators. And we like to create that which we want to see happen in our life. So when we're doing our creating, we're looking around and we're trying to judge for ourselves. What is it that we want? What's going to make us better? Well, I'm going to digress a little here and tell you that first we have to do a check-in with who we are. Hi Bernadette, one of the best ways to bring about what we would love to create is that moment in which we recognize that we're co-creators, but our emotions are what we create from more than anything else. Your mind can tell you, yes, you would be much better served if all your bills were paid every month and you had extra. Your mind would tell you, yes, you would be much better served if you ate healthy and exercised regularly, but that's not what we create. So our emotions are what's in charge. So we have to wrap our head around what our emotions are doing. To do this, you have to remember that when you were in utero, your mother carrying you that's when you expressed your first emotion, or I shouldn't say expressed, but you felt your first emotion. Think of it like she's walking down the street and she's getting ready to cross at the corner, and she starts to step off and her vehicle comes whipping around the corner and almost runs her over. She panics. The adrenaline starts rushing through and she falls back. That adrenaline surge will affect the child. And that could be what the child's base emotion is. And what I say by base emotion is the first emotion felt and our go-to for how we interact in our world. These are concepts that have been proven over and over again as I studied holistic kinesiology and as I got in meditation from spirit, and in the recognition of the work that I had done as a healer over a lifetime. We have that base emotion, and that's our go-to. So what that has to do with our creating our world is how we create what's safe for us. Because remember, you were in utero, so your mother's pregnant, and you're all nice, warm, and cozy and toasty in utero, and you feel this surge of adrenaline. Well, it could be seen as an adrenaline junkie expressed in your life, or as fear-based. Okay, so fear comes before all negative emotions. And let's say, for example, the first emotion your mother expressed that you felt was love-based. Maybe it was deep gratitude for the family that she was building, and she just felt overwhelmed with love. Maybe her heart opened up and her heart chakra was just so well balanced, and that would be your first emotion that you come from. All of this plays out in how we create our world and how we deal with our day-to-day efforts. I've seen many people struggle with this. Like I said, I do a lot of energy work, a lot of healing work around bringing people back into their center and really recognizing where they're coming from. Because PTSD can really struggle with your first base emotion. So if you were a love baby and that was your first emotion felt, excuse me, and you felt PTSD, then at that point, that PTSD would be overwhelming to you because it's contradictory to what your emotion is. It's a struggle when we do this because then we're at odds, and that brings anxiety. That brings all these panic buttons that we're pushing, trying to get back to where we feel safe. Now, what a shame that somebody who is love-based and they have something excruciatingly awful to handle, that they come from a PTSD to try to get to the love base. And that's a deep conflict. So the world that they create is going to be one in which they can get back to that love base. Always searching and always seeking. The exact same thing is true when we talk about having to exhibit our opportunities for creating a fear-based, because that's where a lot of people feel safe. They love the drama. They love the chaos. They love the conspiracy because their first base emotion was fear-based. And we're seeing this a lot lately. We're seeing people struggle with their spiritual progression. I can tell you, I have been around a lot of various people in a lot of various ways, and I laugh because we think about our spiritual progression having a direct result of our spiritual gifts. Hang on, let me get a drink of water. Your spiritual gifts, yes, will indeed help you grow, but your spiritual gifts will not be the only way you grow, and it's not the only way to grow. And sometimes people use their spiritual-based gifts, their spirit gifts of their intuition and their healing, and if they're not well grounded in foundations and the principles, then what happens? Well, they start coming from a desperate need, a desperate wanting to be seen. They come from ego. Ego starts to interfere in their work. It's expressed ever so much more intense in a negative aspect. So you see people who will monetize their spirit gifts. They'll be, they'll tell you, I can make you the best healer in the world for $2,000 payable this weekend, and you'll get your class next weekend. And then you're going to be certified in doing this very unique healing technique for $2,000. And you go through the class, and you're sitting in there with other people, and you get the high of being together, that energy flowing. So yes, you feel it. And then 3 days after you've taken the class, you're not getting the same results because there wasn't a really strong foundation put down. So we really need to look at what we're creating and create for ourselves the foundations that will actually hold the work that you're supposed to do and not be afraid of it. I know a lot of people struggle. They've been talking to me, and I was talking to someone the other day about this. It was Rosie, as a matter of fact, and she said it's an yes and, not a no but. And that really is powerful because it's the same thing as fear yet, or fear but, or love and. So we need the inclusion in the positive. And we can do take away the no buts and do the yes ands much more clearly defined. And we can give power to that. Rosie and I talk a lot about different philosophies, and so does Donna and I, because we're in Mastering Metaphysics Foundations and Principles together. We're reading a book called Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East. Now, this book was written 97 years ago, but the experience was 127 years ago, in which they're talking about attaining the Christ consciousness in this book. A lot of people want to make their spirituality through making a lot of money with their gifts. Okay? I'm not saying that making money is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. But it's how you use it to the best advantage in order to supplement your income, to bring positive to your life, and to share that positive if you want to teach somebody. It's more, instead of declaring yourself the only way avenue to go, we need to understand that people are going to hear things from all different levels, and how can we help them bring it all into a nice little bundle of strength for their spiritual foundation. It's difficult when people want to develop. If I work with people, and one of the struggles that I see is that people will throw down that they absolutely know something is true, but I know that they're not in that right vibration. And having to correct that and make somebody dig deeper and deeper, that's what circles are about. Especially if you have a really strong home circle. It's really important for you to really put forth effort to get the accuracy, because the accuracy is the spirit gift. The ego is the non-accuracy trying to use the spirit gift. So we have a lifetime of study that we've done. A lot of books are written. A lot of people with very viable, very powerful information. One of my first reads when I was trying to grab control of my gifts, because my gifts were very erratic. I was much younger, and I would have these feelings of wanting to hold somebody, and my hands were burning hot, and what did I do with this? I mean, in those days, you just didn't walk up and go, "Can I put my hands on you?" And today you shouldn't either, but, it's another story. Not going into vibration on people, but I would react to people, and I would want to bring healing to them, but I didn't really know how, so I didn't dare. So when I started studying at UCHS, it was a metaphysical church here in town, and I became a minister there. I trained for 8 years before they closed. I realized that the important thing is that we use our gifts to help other people unfold in the ways of spirit. Not to make me look cool or look good. Although if you want to think I look cool because I got my hair cut a nice way, that's fine. But I don't want you thinking, well, she's cool because she can do these different gifts. I want you to come to me and say, how can I use my gifts like you use your gifts? If I'm doing it right, that's what you're going to do. If you want to know about metaphysics, you're going to come to me and say, I I don't understand exactly what you mean by metaphysics. Metaphysics are not your spirit gifts. That's the spirit gifts are a part of metaphysics. Metaphysics is a much more involved, much more delineated way of expressing our spirit progression. Um, One of the most spiritual people I know is one of the most angry atheists I know. And if that wasn't a direct conflict, it it was it was brutal, is what it was, because you would see this person who just generously gave, generously stood up to give out of his heart without ever, ever, ever showing any kind of need to want to make himself look good. And then he would get angry if you even brought anything to the table that might smack of, higher consciousness, spiritual progression, development. I mean, science was beyond him. He was not going to deal with science, and he felt that religion was a bunch of hooey. And actually, he's probably a lot more on target than a lot of people understand, even if he's angry about it, because what's happened is people are using these gifts to make themselves look good without showing you how to use yours. We have another 2 years in which we really have to go down to the core of who we are. And I know this because it's been brought to me through my spirit team. When my son passed away, I know many of you thought that I was done, that RE was going to close. I wondered about it myself, in fairness. But I had just signed a lease right before he died, like 3 days before he died, committing to another year. And I thought, what am I going to do with this building? I can't get out of the lease. I mean, I'm sure I could have, but it didn't feel right. And so a lot of times I just left it hanging. And there were times that I couldn't be in the center, and I would look and trust the people who were renting from me. I'd give them the key and say, I have to go home. And I had to go research my own core beliefs. I do very much believe in reincarnation. I have had evidence of my son coming to me more than once. Physical expressed. He flung open a door. I knew it was him. He was the only person I know that opened the door that way. We know when our kids are entering the room. I went to a physical medium in Santa Fe in which my son walked to the ectoplasm, walked through it, came to me, held my hands, and talked to me. But as much as I know, and as advanced as I am in metaphysics, I wondered. I had to go through that really questionable time frame about, is there really life after death? Why my son? If I've done everything right, why me? It's a path that, as a metaphysician, the death of someone so close to you will rip the very core of your very being wide open. And you really have to take a good hard look and rebuild yourself from that point. So what I'm talking about, I know very much about where we're at as the collective consciousness. This is our spiritual time. This next 2 years are going to make or break a lot of spiritual people, because you're either in this to do the work, to grow spiritually so you can affect change for other people, or you're coming from ego and you're in this to make yourself look pretty, pat yourself on the back, and get all the money you can and all the accolades you can from other people. When I tell you you can create anything you want, I want to also help you create what you want by talking with you and saying, hey, where's your focus with this? Let's talk about some healing aspects to this so it can come in. I don't know what the funny thing is the Secret came out, and they were, Abraham Hicks. That was great. It was great. A friend of mine was in the movie with her relationship. They had met by doing the uh, the Secret, the book, following the what they were taught in the book. And if they had found they wanted their one true heart, then why 6 months after they were together and had done the movie, the second movie, how come it didn't work? How come it didn't last? Because when we manifest what's not to our highest and best interest, if we're creating it, we have manifested it to be on display for ego. So when we're out there creating, we need to really write down why we want what we want. I'm in a business class, and Barbara has made me really look at what I want to accomplish in my business. I mean, sure, do I want to accomplish a paycheck? Absolutely. Do I want to accomplish getting my work done? Absolutely. Do I want to teach? Absolutely. But why? So the bottom line we have to keep asking ourselves to go down that deep is but why? And the but whys will answer if you're in your integrity or just listening to the outer noise. You should be going to your higher self and having that discussion. It's not always easy, but we have a couple of more years to get it done. This was just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of people are so worried about this spiritual revolution. I think it's a spiritual revolution. They want civil war, and they want to see their point thrust down on other people, whether it has to be done through violence or not. They don't care. Where are we going with this? And what kind of people do we want to be when we come out the other side of it? Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? I don't remember who said that, but it's a good one. If we are here and we want to make things happen, we need to learn how to create in a way of positive so that everyone benefits. Spewing out anger or creating from conspiracy or defending our beliefs, totally unnecessary. Totally unnecessary, because I don't have anything to prove to someone. I have nothing that I need to show to someone. What I do have is a destiny path. And my destiny says I'm to be of service. And while I'm in service, my job is to stand in my integrity and to give you the very best teaching that I can, the very best mentoring, the very best spiritual guidance. But without your collaboration, you're just going to be listening to me ask you questions. You have to do the work on the other side of those questions. And that's the part people don't do. That's the part that makes them shy away from metaphysics. That's the part in which we justify what happens in our life. That's the part we become victim to. So think about the great opportunities that you have right now. Ask yourself, what is it that I really would like to know? You want less stress in your life? What causes you stress? You want less conflict? What's creating conflict? What is it that you believe that you need to quit believing in order to create the best possible you? Integrity isn't something we put on as a show for others. It's not something we cling to when we feel we have been wronged. Integrity is always doing the right thing, no matter how much and how hard it is to do. It's understanding that you need to create the ability for everyone in your world and be respectful for them and to them. It means lay down your argument that really doesn't serve you and only makes you more divided away from everybody else. You don't have to worry about their side of the argument. You just need to let go of your side. Because an argument is just that. It's a conflict between two people. It's that moment in which you decide you know more than the other person. And in fairness, we're not each other. We're individual rocks all together in the waters of life. So even though we're individual, we're still together. Let go of the arguing. It's not serving you. And if you find that person that won't let go of the arguing, let them go. Let them be free to go elsewhere. They may not be the person who needs to help. And if you hold your vibration high enough and you start progressing your spirit more enough, you're going to attract the person who is perfect and enough. They're not going to beat you down with their shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and they're not going to turn you into a victim, and you won't be able to slide into victimhood because there won't be a reason to be a victim to their anger, because they're not going to have it, because you let yours go. It doesn't do us any good to try to learn something if we're learning it so that we can be a bigger star, so that we can be seen on the big screen, or so that we can create the things that we want to create. If you happen to become famous while doing your work, that's an honor. But you know, the person who makes the biggest difference is not the star of the show. It's the person who helped him get there. That person is helping 10, 100, 1,000 people. And they're affecting change on such subtle levels that they help to make you great. Because without those people that believe full-heartedly in you and in your work, that they will put every ounce of their work and their belief behind you. Those are the people that you need to bring them in, sit down at the dinner table, and be glad they came. My heart to all of yours. Next week I'm going to talk about stress reduction and how we can get into our mind and body and spirit a whole lot better. And it's coming on to spring, so let's start enjoying some sunshine. I hope to see all of you soon. We have the Psychic Fair this weekend. Oh, sorry, Valentine's Day weekend, I apologize, along with Spirit Circle on Saturday. And we have our virtual Psychic Fair. There's only one appointment left for Audrey, and everyone else, Adia, Johanna, Alexa, Annette, and Rose. No, Rosie's going to be at the Psychic Fair, and I know I'm missing someone. Donna will be there giving readings. Please think about popping in, and it's $25 for 25 minutes. And of course, at the Psychic Fair, we've got the healing machine. Phil Munson will be coming in to show the healing machine. I worked with this machine personally to such a degree that I highly recommend it. It has moved me light years ahead, and so I purchased one, and I am now working with people who really desire energy clearing and balancing, and to move them up to the next step. So look for the menu items and how you can enjoy a session. But before you do, come on down and let Phil put you on the machine and see if it's something that you want to do. My heart to all of yours. You're wonderful. Bless you. Remember, you are the best you ever. And I will see you next week. Bye.